It is exactly 12 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time as we turn our focus now to Malawi, where the President, Peter Mutharika, has called for urgent support from the International Monetary Fund to help Malawi confront what he described as an extremely difficult economic crisis. Mutharika says Malawi needs immediate resources to secure critical imports as the country faces a delayed farming season as well as recurring fuel queues. The country's finance minister, Joseph Mwanamvekha, says they simply want the IMF program back. For more on this, we're joined on the line by Dr. Bertha Bangara-Chikadza, a macro-economist, a lecturer in economics and deputy director of open and distance e-learning at the Malawi University of Science and Technology. A very good afternoon to you, Doctor. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Thami.
So let's first of all perhaps start with a little bit of background. We've covered this quite extensively here on Africa in Business, but just a little bit of background as to how it is that Malawi finds itself in this situation with the IMF, where the IMF program, has been retracted.
Thank you. But let me start by correcting that I'm now at the University of Malawi and not the Malawi University of Science and Technology. So tell me, we are in a country where, the problems are recurrent. We don't export more. We are an agricultural economy and we rely heavily on tobacco, which actually contributes about 23-24% of total foreign exchange earnings. And every time we have a problem, for example, with rainfall and anything, then production also slows down, and even foreign exchange generation also slows down. So we are not manufacturing enough, we're not exporting enough, and we are importing heavily because we are importing 3 times as much as we're exporting. And this has actually brought the problem of foreign exchange constraints in such a way that the country is experiencing queues in terms of petrol queues, fuel queues, but also we have a problem with food because last year we did not harvest enough, and so we are also food insecure. So actually we are in this problem which is structural. It's not temporary. It has been there. It's been in existence for a long time, and it does not require a one size fits all thing. It requires a mix of emergency relief and medium-term reforms for us to stabilize the macroeconomy, because currently we're experiencing high inflation, and also with food shortages, we're also seeing food prices going up. And yes, I think for the government to say what they need is an IMF program, I think it's also something that I can agree with, especially now.
And the president having described the situation in Malawi as extremely difficult. You mentioned earlier on that, this is a structural weakness. Could you highlight for us which structural weaknesses in Malawi's economy have contributed most to the current crisis?
All right. I think, like I said initially, this is an agricultural-based economy. But because we are an agricultural-based economy, even our farming methods are old. They are obsolete. We are using hose. We are not irrigating. We are not, doing anything that is extra or out of the ordinary. So we are leaving agriculture to the smallholder farmer to feed the nation, which is over 20 million people. And also, it's the same farmers which are actually exporting to generate the much-needed forex for us to use on all the imports. We're importing fertilizer, fuel, and each and everything, medicine, and so on and so forth. And like I said, what we're exporting and what we're importing are totally different, because we have a negative trade balance that has been running from time immemorial. And right now we are talking about 3 times more. And when we're saying structure, because looking at the structure of the economy, the problems in there need also a structure change. We need to change even the way we export, because we just export tobacco. We need to diversify exports. Currently, we're talking about mining, because we know that if maybe we dive deep into mining, we might be generating more forex other than what we are getting from tobacco, because commodity prices are always volatile, and anything that happens to tobacco, we don't control the prices. So at least in mining, if we diversify to mining, we diversify to other products, for example, maybe tourism, and also commercialize agriculture, then we should be able to produce more. We should be able to even cut on the, for example, inflation that the country is facing, because we might even have enough food, we might even have some things to export because we have commercialized agriculture. Now, agriculture should be seen as a business and not just something that produces food for domestic economy. So when we're talking about a structure, this is the problem, because we don't have a lot of manufacturing. We don't have a lot of value chains in the country. You know, it's just the agriculture, the tobacco, and maybe a few processing of soya beans, groundnuts, and so on and so forth. But we are not actually exporting enough to cover all our exports. So that's why we have this critical import backlog in terms of fuel, in terms of medicines, in terms of fertilizer. We are also having a currency that is not stable, because as long as there is no balance in terms of demand for forex and what we are earning, the kwacha also tend to destabilize, and we have to actually keep on, you know, trying to maintain the value of the kwacha. So there is actually a problem, because even our import cover is not even up to the minimum 3 months import cover.
So
we're talking of less than a month.
So let's look at some of the options here as far as the IMF support is concerned. What type of support would be most appropriate for Malawi at this stage? Are we looking at the emergency financing? Is it an extended credit facility, or perhaps another instrument?
I think for Malawi right now, we need something like a rapid disbursement of foreign exchange. So it can be maybe front-loaded disbursements under ECF, not the ECF that we had like 2 years ago, because at that time we are getting small and small amounts of money, of forex. And with the devaluation, it didn't help anything. We need a front-loaded disbursement that can control this problem, that can clear the critical import backlogs. We need a rapid credit facility that is really rapid, that can actually bring that stability in the foreign exchange reserves, but also stabilize the kwacha to avoid further depreciation and also pass through to inflation. So we need to strengthen the foreign reserves buffers, because right now we have actually less than a month of import cover. So these are some of the stabilizers I think that we need. If the IMF is coming in, it needs to know that it's not just that, for example, 30,000, maybe $30 million that we need. We need enough money that can stabilize the currency, but also beef up our foreign exchange reserves.
And how do global factors such as the rising cost, fuel prices, or even the tightening financial conditions exacerbate the crisis in Malawi?
These are also exacerbating the crisis in Malawi, because as you can see currently with the global financial crisis, the tightening of liquidity out there, the country cannot borrow, cheaply. With the way the country is, I think we need, that DSF that can actually talk to those who can lend us money, that I think we are credit worthy. And when we look at also the issue of fuel pricing going up, fertilizer prices going up, and so on, a country that is highly indebted, that has also a high external debt, it means we are paying more even to service those debt, and we are leaving enough just to purchase whatever we are importing. And so when we import, they're also coming at a higher price, and that is also fueling the inflation in the domestic market, because we are filtering in the imported inflation into the domestic market.
Dr.
So
Bertha,
it's bringing actually a lot of problems.
We'll leave it at that for this afternoon. We thank you so much for your insight as we break down the economic state of Malawi, as well as the possible intervention of the International Monetary Fund, and what type of intervention would be needed in order to be sustainable for Malawi. We thank you, Dr. Bertha Bangara-Chikadza.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.